Steve from Nebraska. You're live on Talk Heathen. What do you want to talk to us about?
Yeah, hi Dan, Dr. Ben, and Cindy. Thanks for allowing us this opportunity to discuss evidence based on interstellar Meteor 1's material strength and unique metallic composition suggests this object that NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies refers to as CNEOS 2014-0108 is actually an ancient alien technological artifact, and we now finally have the smoking gun evidence for the ancient alien chariots of the gods. So what do you guys think of this?
So who's NASA saying this? NASA said, yeah, this is smoking gun evidence for being aliens / the chariot of the gods. Who's saying that?
Dr. Avi Loeb. So on January.
So it's not NASA. I just want to be clear because you did say NASA saying this earlier. Unless I misunderstood you.
No, they're saying they're referring to the object of interest. They refer to it as CNEOS, and you guys can look this up. Not making this up. This is actual news. CNEOS 2014-01-08, and Dr. Avi Loeb has recovered fragments.
Yeah, so here's the Wikipedia right off the bat. CNEOS 2014-0108, also known as Interstellar Meteor 01, was a 0.45 meter meteor that impacted Earth on the 8th of January 2014 near the northeast coast of Papua New Guinea. It was claimed to be an interstellar object in a 2019 preprint by astronomers Amir Siraj and Avi Loeb, and this was published in 2022. This was supported by the U.S. Space Command in 2022 based on object's velocity relative to the sun. NASA and other astronomers doubt this, and still other experts found Earth-related explanations for the purported meteorite impact instead. And there's like a million citations there for the people who doubt that this is alien stuff.
Well, I'll present the case that this is an ancient alien artifact. So on January 8th, 2014, U.S. military satellites detected and tracked this meteor-sized interstellar 1 meteor traveling nearly 40 miles per second until it impacted off the coast of, you said, Papua New Guinea. And based on this object's high velocity, U.S. Space Command determined this object is indeed of interstellar origin. And then Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb led an expedition to retrieve and study the fragmentary remnants of interstellar Meteor 1, from which some millimeter-scaled metallic spherules were thoroughly analyzed. They were found to have a material strength greater than anything in our solar.
What's awesome is that they actually haven't found any fragments of this thing, though. So
hold on.
This is.
I have to interrupt him for a second.
Go, Sydney. Go.
I need you to tell me what this means in your own words, because I feel like you're reading something off to us, but I don't know what you think of this. Like in your own words, what does all of this information that you're reading to us mean to you? And what are your thoughts on this so that we can then give our response to those thoughts? Because it sounds like you're reading something off to us, but I want to know what you think that means.
Okay, so these fragments they found are extremely rich in 3 elements: beryllium, lanthanum, and uranium. And the lanthanum and uranium are something like on the order of 500 times more plentiful than in earthly rocks. And this is indicative of anything unlike anything in our solar system. But the beryllium is also 100 times more plentiful than that on Earth. This is very important because this is produced in a process where it's chipped out from the nuclei of heavier elements. This occurs by the impact of high energy cosmic rays, and this is definitely a sign of interstellar travel. And
see, that's where I think that's
and here's my question.
That's where you lose me.
Even if this is true, that there are fragments of this thing that is outside of our solar system, how do we connect this to alien travel? Like how can I make that leap instead of saying that this is something that came from far away from some natural process that we don't quite understand at this moment? That'd be more where I would think about this. Does this come from a space rock? Does this come from a space rock?
Here's why.
I just from far away and with stuff that isn't as likely to be found here.
I just read up on this now. Download complete over here. Okay, I understand what's happening here. So this astronomer funded an expedition to try to find the fragments. Purportedly, they found the fragments. This has not been confirmed by outside observers. There are those who doubt this, but the fragments that they did found allegedly, based on some analysis, is older than the solar system itself. So if these fragments are older than the solar system itself, I guess the idea is that this is from a civilization that's so advanced and so old that they come from outside of ourselves. Or of course it could be just a fucking meteor, right? But yeah, there is not enough evidence from what I'm seeing here to confirm that these fragments that they found are even from this same impact, right? They just found some fragments at the bottom of the ocean. It can mean a lot of different things. But two, whether it's even remotely related to alien aircraft, that's a whole other can of worms. So I'm not impressed from what I'm seeing so far, Steve.
Well, I guess, Steve, my question would be, and then I swear I'll let you talk. We found some new stuff. How does that mean evidence of aliens?
Okay. Well, firstly, this object did not incinerate until it was in the low atmosphere. It did not burn up in the high atmosphere. This object was traveling at a rate of speed of 40 miles a second. That's like 3 times faster than our fastest space probes now. This is traveling many orders, magnitudes faster than the Voyager craft.
So what? So this could be something else. Hold on. Yeah. If there are plenty of rocks that travel very fast from far away, like you're the one making the assumption that it is somehow related to space travel.
Yeah, why is that? What does that have to do with space travel?
No, I'm not. This isn't my idea. This is Dr. Abby Loeb, who says it might be.
And why are you trusting this random person? Why are you trusting this random person?
Let's back this up. So arguments, right? Arguments have premises and conclusions, right? So you're stating a premise here. One of these premises is that this meteorite is only burned up in lower atmosphere. Okay, let's say I accept that. What are the ramifications of that? What does that have to do with the conclusion that this is alien in origin? We still have not made that connection yet.
Well, it doesn't have any naturally occurring alloys. These alloys look very artificially generated, and this has resilience unlike any space rock in our own solar system. So this looks to me like it could be. And I don't want to jump the gun.
Here's the problem. Steve. Like, sure, I can agree that the way that the alloys are composed could be different from what we'd see in the context of like Earth, something that's made on Earth. I could get on the same page with you on that.
Yeah.
The thing though is that you can't say, well, this is different than what we have on Earth, therefore an alien made it. It's like, sure, if we made something artificially similar here on Earth, okay, cool. That doesn't mean that something was therefore artificially made like that out in the universe. It could be that it came from a place where the physical parameters are set up to where that would be the thing that was produced. From that context, right? Like we're working within a set of parameters that we don't know. Like we have this thing that came from we don't know where, we don't know how far away. All we know is this is the result, and now you kind of have to backtrack with the science to see, like, can we hypothesize what would have done this? And there's a lot more. There's a lot of heavy lifting being done by this assertion of aliens or assertion of artificial like production of this. And I don't think you have the arguments to do all that heavy lifting that needs to be done.
Well, not only that, but in this explanation, he mentioned, it's unlike anything we found in our solar system. Clearly it's not. clearly this is our first example of this thing existing in our solar system. I get that the idea is, well, we've never seen this before in our solar system, so this was clearly made by intelligent life force somewhere else. But in my opinion, by it existing, by us seeing it, that proves that it could potentially exist in the solar system from some place that we haven't seen. So my brain doesn't go, we've never seen this before, therefore aliens. My brain says, we've never seen this before, therefore it came from somewhere, and we need to figure out where it came from. And our previous conjecture that this could not exist in our solar system has been disproven because here it is in front of our eyes.
Well, there is some more news on this. Octavio Loeb's going to do further investigations. He's going to go back down and recover more, try to find more pieces of this. Obviously, they just have a small sample size to work from, so they need to get a larger sample size to more clarify what this exactly is. I mean, I don't want to say it's aliens, but it does look to me like aliens.
All right. Well, so again, I've been reading this entire time while the other hosts have been talking. Avi Loeb seems to me is a Harvard astronomer. Okay, so there's some credibility there. He's also had a career with looking for aliens throughout everything he does. In fact, he had trouble trying to find folks to get the funding for this project. It cost $1.5 million to get a submarine team to even get this fragment because nobody else agreed with some of his calculations on what was done with this particular meteoroid fragment. When they found it, they've done radiometric analysis that they, appears to maybe have been done, to be older than the solar system. But again, there's still other people that doubt him even on that. I'm glad that he wants to find some other fragments for this thing. But again, like this, to find the particular fragment of a single meteorite and be like, we're going to find the one for this one thing is so ludicrously low. The probability is so small that this one submarine team having to find it is pretty wild if that is the case, if it actually comes from that. So I think we have a guy here, probably some motivated reasoning, and other people in his field probably feel the same way, which is why it hasn't been confirmed by NASA or any other astronomical organization that I've seen here, saying that, hey, maybe that this is just a guy who found maybe part of another meteorite, maybe something else going on, but doesn't match the calculations that he's proposed and doesn't match the material that we would expect. Because typically when you find something anomalous like this, it tends to be a data measurement error, right? A metric error rather than something that's brand new or fine. So I will remain skeptical of this until other more knowledgeable, more expert people can confirm it for me, not just one guy who got the funding to get this project done for a lifelong career of finding extraterrestrial stuff, which he has done and has written at least one book about. So, yeah, I'm not impressed so far, Steve.
Well, he has the material that can be independently analyzed. I think that certainly has to happen because because he dares to claim the obvious that nobody else wants to. So.
It's not the obvious though, is it? Right.
Right.
No, what he's starting backwards. He's starting backwards from the scientific method. He's already decided what he wants it to be and is going out looking for evidence to confirm what he wants instead of just asking the question, like, we have this thing. What is it? What can we learn about it? That's how we need to approach it. I'm not saying that it can't be aliens. It could be, but we don't have enough to get there yet. We have to broaden our differentials, so to speak, on what this is.
Right. I need to point this out. Not only this, Steve, it has been independently looked at. If you've actually looked at this, astrophysicist Steve Desch at Arizona State University commented, Loeb's claims are polluting good science, conflating the good science we do with this ridiculous sensationalism and sucking all the oxygen out of the room, and said several of his colleagues are consequently refusing to engage with Loeb in the peer review process. Monica Grady from the Open University argued that the evidence for Loeb's claims is, quote, rather shaky, end quote, and points more plausibly to terrestrial pollution. Patricio A. Gallardo, in an American Astronomical Society paper, similarly concluded the samples were consistent with coal ash contamination. Loeb and collaborators subsequently published 2 papers saying chemical analysis ruled out coal ash contamination and indicated extrasolar origins. Loeb and Morgan McLeod proposed a tidal disruption mechanism that could cause meteors to be ejected into trajectories leading to the described observations. And some other people have looked into some seismic stuff that they say that they claim, but by driving a truck near their sensor, they may have created uncertainty as to the location of the meteorite itself. It sounds shaky. It's really, really shaky. We're not going to start believing in aliens. Nobody should start believing in aliens just because of one really shaky meteor fragment here. Right. I don't think that's the way to do it.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm never going to be against looking into stuff as often as possible, getting second opinions, getting third opinions. I'll never be against that. What I do have an issue with is somebody saying, no, I keep repetitively getting an answer I don't like, so I'm just going to keep hiring independent researchers and processors until one of them agrees with what I want. So if this person is willing to admit at the end of the day, after they've had it independently looked at 150,000 times, if they're willing to admit, okay, I was wrong, it's not aliens, I really wanted it to be, I was really hoping it would be, my whole thing is looking for aliens, and this ended up not being an example of that, that's somebody that I would say, hey, you know what, thanks for looking into it anyway, would have been cool if it had been. But if this person is going to continually hire independent, quote unquote, researchers until they get the answer they want, that's problematic in my opinion.
Yep.
He's got a new paper out that's going to counter the criticism he's received. His article's going to be published in Chemical Geology. It's not industrial pollution's only been around. With the Industrial Revolution 300 years ago, it was not billions of years old as this object is.
That's not what they're claiming. They're saying that there's been contamination on the evidence sample. They're not saying that the meteor itself would have chemical pollution from a billion years ago.
No, this isn't coal ash. This is from outside the soil.
Steve, you haven't even looked at this thing. How do you know?
Because he's got a paper out that's been.
Yeah, and there's other people that have looked at the paper and said that it's wrong.
Steve, I have papers out. I have papers out.
His criticisms.
See this thing?
Steve, you're saying on the one hand, you're willing to say, well, he needs to engage with other people to look at this independently. And I say, okay, here's some people that have looked at his stuff independently and said it's bullshit. And now you're saying, oh, no, well, those people are wrong. Right. So what is it going to be? Are we here to find truth, or are we here to prove that aliens are real?
No, we need to further investigate before we find my conclusion. I'm totally with the scientific method there. And I know we don't need to do this in reverse. I don't want to jump the gun to any conclusions. So, I'm not quite.
Okay, I agree. But if you're on the same page with me there, Steve, why are you calling me here saying that we have evidence of aliens? Because it sounds like you're jumping the gun if you're doing that.
I think it is.
But don't you agree? You just admitted, though, that we don't want to jump the gun with this, right? We only have one meteor fragment that's shaky at best that's been criticized. Why should we jump the gun with this and say that this is aliens? Don't you think that's jumping the gun?
We should be open. We should be open to that probability.
Being open to the possibility is not the same thing as calling up another person's show and saying, hey, we have evidence of aliens. Have you heard of this?
Wait, right? I got to agree with Steve for a second, though. Steve said we should be open to the idea that it's aliens. I agree. We should also be open to the idea that it is not aliens. Yes. That's where I draw the line. So, Steve, I totally agree with you. We should totally be open to anything that research might suggest. But we should also be open. And this researcher, should also be open to the fact that aliens are not involved at all. The more research he does, the more he's going to find out it's not going the way that he thought, and it's not going in the direction of aliens, and then start over from a different angle. So yes, I do agree. We should be open to that idea. We should also be open to the fact that that idea is not true, and listen to people who come back with evidence to suggest that it is not true.
Yeah, I don't know. I've taken up much of this conversation, so I don't know much more we could talk about this. I think we've made our point.